I've talked at length about how the iPad Pro is my favorite tablet by a mile, right? You've seen the videos. And I've also talked about how other tablets might be better at the iPad Pro at like one thing, like maybe a better overall display or a better speaker setup. But overall, the whole package for best tablet, for me, keeps going to iPad Pro. The design of the iPad Air matches the iPad Pro in basically every way. The boxy all aluminum shape feels rock solid. It's got these grippable flat smart connector at the back, so you can drop it in a smart folio or even a magic keyboard case, just like an iPad Pro. You wanna know why? Because it is the magic keyboard case for the iPad Pro, and it just fits in the same case because it has the same dimensions. So there's your trackpad, there's your USB-C pass-through, because guess what? iPad Air also now gets USB Type-C. See, Apple? It's okay to put USB-C in products without the Pro in the name. It's good for everybody. The quad speaker setup that surrounds the display also sounds phenomenal for a tablet, and you have basically the exact same bezel thickness all the way around, thin enough to not be a problem and still look good, but thick enough to actually hold the iPad from any angle and not have accidental screen touches. But then one difference about that bezel is inside it you won't find Face ID. There's just a regular 7-megapixel front-facing camera up there, and instead of Face ID, Touch ID is back, and it's built into that power button. Pretty easy and quick to get used to. Basically, the pro tip is register multiple fingerprints. Actually, that's not even a pro tip, that's just common sense, but a lot of people don't do it. But for me, both index fingers work great, so no matter which orientation the iPad is in, the finger I press the power button with also unlocks it for me, so that's great. And Apple's done fingerprint readers well for a while now. This one is also fast and accurate. From the back, iPad Air literally gets the same 12-megapixel primary camera as the iPad Pro, but you'll note it's just a single camera by itself and a mic, no flash, no ultra wide, no LiDAR. But I mean, if you think about it, how often do you need an ultra wide or a LiDAR sensor or even a flash for your tablet photography? I'd say pretty much never, so all of these things missing mean almost nothing to most people. I maintain that the most common use of iPad cameras should be document scanning and FaceTime calls, and these cameras here are more than good enough for that. And then the iPad Air has the new Apple Pencil support. It snaps onto the side of the iPad to charge and pair the same way as the Pro, so that's pretty sweet. And then inside, iPad Air actually has the even newer 5nm A14 Bionic chip instead of the A12Z currently in the Pro. So you can actually expect very similar, sometimes even better benchmark numbers on paper. But the point is, despite its slightly lower 4 gigs of RAM, it's gonna perform great. I've had no performance issues, and I don't expect the typical user will run into any performance limits for a long time. Tablets in general, and how the entire Android tablet ecosystem rose to such great heights and then fell so far. Like, there used to be so much conjecture and thoughts and interesting videos about what the tablet OS should look like and how it should multitask and what it should do. But now, with like 4 out of the top 5 tablets available being iPads, they're all kind of just the same. Performance is fine, as expected, through iPadOS 14. There's plenty of iPad optimized apps and games, which is great, and it's just kind of the status quo now. The iPad Pro's 120 Hz, of course, speaks to people like me because I'm personally a fan of high refresh rate. The more pixels, the better. But I've always said in the past, and it's still true here, Apple also makes some of the smoothest 60 Hz devices. And smoothness, of course, is not a problem at all here. It's yes, but they're small. Obviously, no bigger size is a bit of a downside for some people. Like I mentioned, there's only 10.9. But also, I'm not a fan of these colors at all. They're all super pale, pastel-ish kind of colors, but I mean, this green only shows up on camera as green because I've made a conscious effort through this video to put it up against things that don't overwhelm the green. It really isn't green most of the time, so I'd just get space gray.